بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Episode 2 was nice. We were going through conversations, learning how to speak. And now what is this, right? Here this guy was in episode 1 talking about, how terrible grammar is and how it's for nerds and talking all this smack. And now I see a bunch of grammar words on the screen. So let me just explain real quick. This lesson is consistent with the methodology of the course, right? I told you guys that I want to keep it functional, right? I want you to have stuff that you will use, that you can use, and that's what this is, right? We talked about how we were going to do memorization as well as customization. And this right here, this lesson is the foundation of customization, of building this machine that is going to let us turn these scripts into dialogues, right? So let's just get started. So here we have several grammar-related words, and we have pronouns and attached pronouns, right? Pronouns, attached pronouns, what in the world is that? I didn't pay attention in English class. What is a pronoun? So a pronoun is something that generalizes a noun, okay? But what is a noun? I don't know what a noun is. Like I said, I never liked English class. Noun is a thing that does a thing. So like the man, the dog, the people, right? These are nouns, right? And pronouns are generalizations of those. Like I, we, us, them, he, she, blah, 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 blah. So you get the point. So that's what a pronoun is. What is an attached pronoun? That we will explain later, right? Let's not get too technical right away. So this is what we're going to be studying today. By the end of the lesson, you'll know exactly what all this means and how to use all of it. And before you get too intimidated, we'll just, break it down real quick. So like I mentioned, pronouns are things that replace nouns, and we use them quite frequently, right? I'm happy, we went to the mall, you guys are hilarious, right? We speak like this all the time. So here we have the pronouns, right? And so what we have is 3 different rows and 3 different columns, right? So in the rows we see first, second, third. In the columns we see plural, pair, and singular, right? And so what does all of this mean? The columns here, right? The column here, it means the person that we're speaking in. So first, second, and third person. What is first person? All right, this is getting kind of cluttered, so let's clear it out. First person is when I speak about myself, my personal experiences. I'm happy, I'm having a great time, I'm hungry, all these things, right? So this is first person, when you're speaking about yourself. Second person is when you're speaking to someone, like 2 people are face to face and you're speaking to each other, and you say, you look great today, or, you're hilarious, something like that. So this is second person. Third person is when you talk about someone who's not present, okay? So guess what he did, right? Oh, she bought this and this and this, right? Or she said this, right? So this is third person. So just to get into the words, we'll start with the singular. So here we have ana. Ana is alif, nun, alif. Now here you don't pronounce the second alif, right? So you just read ana. Otherwise it would have been pronounced ana. So this is pronounced ana, and it means I. So like we were talking about, I had a great day, I'm hungry, you would use the word ana. Next we get the plural in the first person is nahnu. This is still talking about yourself, right? When you use nahnu means we, W-E, right? So we went to the mall, right? This is still talking about yourself, but now there's more people involved, right? You're part of a group. So this is nahnu. Anta is the second person. So now we've finished the first person. Note that it's only 2 words. Nothing difficult there. Now we're getting to the second person. And in the second person, we find this very familiar anta. Anta, we took it in the last lesson, and it means you, right? وَكَيْفَ حَالُكَ أَنْتَ, right? How are you doing, you, right? So anta means you. So anta, as you guys might also remember, is masculine. So this whole first row here, this entire first row down here is masculine, okay? And as you can probably guess, the second row is feminine. So anta means you. Antuma is actually very special because in English we don't have this. So in English, when we speak about either in the singular or in the plural, right? So we say I did or we did, you or you guys, right? Or y'all. Y'all is the word we're going to use here. So, but in Arabic, there's actually two plurals. There's a pair and a plural. And so pair, it's exactly what it means. You're speaking to two people, or you're speaking about two things, right? And then plural is 3+, okay? So here we get antuma. Antuma. This is the pair version of anta. And the way to recognize this is this mim alif right here. That is iconic pair tense, right? So whenever you say mim alif, most likely it's going to be in the pair form, okay? And it means like you too. So in the Quran, for example, it says, Antuma wa man ittaba'akum al-ghalibun. You two and the ones who follow you are going to be victorious. Which two? Musa and Harun alayhimus salam, right? So this is, you'll find this everywhere, right? So this is antuma, and then we get to the plural, which is antum, right? Antum means you guys, you people, y'all, which you guys know I have an affinity for the word y'all. It's a very beautiful contraction. It's short, succinct, right? We have this small little box, and we can fit in a very large concept in the word y'all. Okay, so moving on, we have anti. We've seen anti as well, right? Anti is the feminine version of anta, right? So we won't spend too much time on that because we've already done it. Here we have antuma. Oh, this looks familiar. Antuma is the same word, masculine and feminine. So when you're speaking about two people, regardless of the gender, you'll say antuma. So that's kind of nice because you don't have to memorize an extra word. And then in the plural form, antunna. This is also y'all, but it is feminine, right? So this is the feminine version of antum. So pretty simple stuff so far. Then we get to the third person, right? So huwa, right here, huwa is he, right? He said, he did, he was, blah, 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 right? So that's huwa. Huma is the pair version of huwa. And again, here we see mim alif, right? Same as this, same as this. So I put they with a two in parentheses, but you could say like those two or something like that. It's kind of hard to translate here because there's really nothing analogous in the English language. But anyways, we then get to this one here. In the plural, we get hum. Hum is they, okay? Hum is they. So that's fairly simple. Hiya is the feminine version of huwa. And you can tell it's kind of like a kasra version, right? Where you have the kasra to start it off right here. So kind of like anta, anti, huwa, hiya, right? It's not exactly the same, but as far as memory techniques, it's as good as any. So then you get here, and you get huma. Huma is the pair version of hiya. Now you wouldn't be able to tell because these words, again, are exactly the same. So let's just move along then. The plural version is hunna. Hunna is very similar to antunna in terms of the noon at the end. It has this W, the shadda, right? Hunna and antunna, they're both feminine and plural, and they both have the noon shadda. So that's a good way to connect them. So this is all of the pronouns. 14 words, but it's actually 12 unique words. So really it's not that much, right, if you spend some time on it. And you might not even need to spend that much time because these are common. And that's why we're going through this. Because actually, if you look at the Quran, and if you look in any text, you will almost always find either a pronoun or an attached pronoun, which is what we're about to get to, right? So literally like every other line in the Quran, and every single page will have either a pronoun or an attached pronoun. So really, it's a huge boost to your vocabulary, right? Just knowing these 12 words and the attached versions that we'll go into. So here, let's just point out some patterns, right? Again, we kind of pointed it out. The kasra pattern here with anta, anti, and huwa, hiya, right? The mim alif pattern in the pair version. Antuma, antuma, huma, huma, right? Then here in the masculine plural, you have a mim sukun, right? Antum, hum, antum, hum. So they sound similar. And here you have the noon shadda. Antunna, hunna, antunna, hunna. So it's fairly rhythmic. It's fairly like patterned. It's not that hard to remember. The only ones that are kind of distinct are ana and nahnu. And that should be simple enough. Those are just 2 words. So now we get to the attached pronoun. So what is an attached pronoun? An attached pronoun is exactly what it sounds like. It's a pronoun that attaches to another word, right? And so I'll give you an example in English. You know, if you want to talk about your house, you don't say I house. You say my house, right? And the word I simply doesn't suffice in all situations, right? If you want to say, look at me, you don't say look at I, right? Unless you're speaking about like some strange Apple products, right? An iHouse or Look I or something like that. That's completely besides the point. Here, this is exactly what the attached pronoun is. So we've seen some of these already, actually. So here we have these 2 letters attached with ana. And we see the dash. I put the dash here because it symbolizes it comes at the end of the word. So what is the word that we've seen that ends like this? Ismi Khalid, right? My name is Khalid. And so that ends here in this ya, right? So what does that mean? Ism means name. Ismi means my name. Now, why are there 2 here? The reason there's 2 is because the ya is not applicable everywhere, right? So for example, we learned the word undur, right? Which means look. Now, if I wanted to say look at me, and I just added a ya at the end of it, how do you add a ya at the end of unzur? You really can't, right? It doesn't really pronounce into anything. And that's where you put unzurni, look at me, right? So it's very useful wherever the ya is not applicable. Most cases, you use the ya, and then where you can't, you would use nun ya. Okay, so of course, and again, this has the definition of me or my, as opposed to I. Okay, nahnu's associated attached pronoun is na, nun alif, right? And I think everyone who knows Surah Fatiha would recognize this reference that I'm about to give. Ihdina, ihdina, ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, right? So ihdi means guide, and the nun alif means us. Again, if you were to say nahnu here, you would say guide we. And of course, that sounds ridiculous unless you're speaking about like a Wii Sports edition or something like that. So moving on to second person, right? And second person is probably the easiest one to memorize. And here's why. If you remove alif nun from the pronoun and you change that into a kaf, you will have all the attached pronouns exactly as they are. So if we try this, anta, you remove alif nun, and the ta turns into a kaf, you get ka. Antuma, remove alif nun, kuma. Antum, you remove the alif nun, kum. Anti becomes ki. Antuma becomes kuma. And antunna becomes kunna. Very simple, right? Really no memorization to be done over here. Just get rid of the alif noon and change the ta into a kaf, and then you have all your attached pronouns. Here in your third person, you get huwa. Okay, huwa is he, and the attached pronoun here is this ha, right? So something with the ha at the end is referring to huwa. So, for example, like his house would be baytuhu, right? So there's two vowels here. If you notice, there's the dhamma and the kasra, right? Why did I put two vowels? The reason for this is because the ha can have one of two vowels. It doesn't have both, obviously, because that doesn't mean anything. But it has one or the other. The way you know is basically if it's preceded by a kasra, you will say kasra. So baytihi, baytuhu, right? Or if it's something like a ya with the sukoon on it, you would also use the kasra, like alayhi, like upon him, right? So that's really the rule here, and a lot of people will recognize when we get to hum has the same rule, right? Sirat alladhina an'amta alayhim, right? There's a ya, and then there's him, not hum, okay? Unless you're reading a certain recitation style. But that's besides the point. So here with huma, the attached pronoun is huma. See, it's the exact same. The pair is such a hassle-free tense. Really, you think it would be difficult because we don't have it in English, but it's very, very hassle-free, hands-off. It just gives you an easy time here. So with hum, you get hum, right? With the exception of the kasra rule that we discussed earlier. So hiya is a little bit different. Hiya is basically the huwa version with an alif, right? So you put ha instead of hu, right? And so there's this extra alif here that designates the feminine tense, right? So baytuha means her house, or ismuha means her name. Okay, so then we have huma, again, is huma. Fantastic, right? Hunna is also very hassle-free. It's hunna. So now we have all of the pronouns and all of the attached pronouns, and you will see this so frequently. So without further ado, we'll call this session to an end. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, leave them in the comment section below. And if you want to support this series, feel free to subscribe, like, and do as you please after that. Share it. The reward is yours to take. So with that, I will say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.